Studio check.
Frequencies check.
We are live on air.
You are listening to the In Fact Blessing the Airwaves. Take the journey into the world of sports, news, entertainment, while embracing the hottest beats on the planet. Rocking the mind, body, and with energy, electricity, and a splash of controversy. Now, without further ado, it's our pleasure to bring to you
The biggest show in the world.
The biggest show in the world.
the biggest show in the world, the SBTV Nation.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to a new week. You are listening to your boys, the biggest show in the world, the It Factor, the SBTV Nation, and I am having a conversation with my boy, The Dream. Good morning to you.
What's up, player? What's going on, man? I wanted to open up the show with a little slow singing and flower brain this morning. That was the theme for yesterday, man. Oh, man. Oh, man. Does the NFL have a big mess?
It was a big mess yesterday, but you know what, Dream? I had a real good time heckling you to death on Twitter.
The heckle was dope.
Between me,
matter of fact, our heckle game was way more efficient than the Pittsburgh Steelers offense yesterday.
I agree with you 100%. And my Miami Dolphins emerge and are victorious over the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are anemic on the road, Dream.
Man, I gotta tell you, man, this NFL right now, I'm sorry. I don't know if you guys like it. Ratings are down. I don't necessarily know if it's because of the sloppy gameplay or what exactly it is, but I gotta be honest. It's really hard to watch.
Well, it depends on what kind of fan you are, because if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, you're feeling pretty good. But before we get into that, Dream, we were talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers and Miami Dolphins, and that was the biggest upset of the day. We got to talk about Big Ben, who got a little banged up in the game.
Yeah, Big Ben got a torn meniscus, got to have surgery for it. Not a big deal because we're used to dealing with Big Ben being banged up every season.
Of course. And, he'll probably come off the operating table and get the victory next week.
No doubt. We talked about Big Ben being an injury. He plays through his injuries, but is another injury-prone, individual that every year you're always nail-biting, holding your breath with him throughout the whole season. And here we go, right on cue, injured again. And, a meniscus, not a big injury. It's something that they could clean up. Yeah. Honestly, he could be out. He could be back out on the field next week, honestly, because they're talking about it's a cleanup, not a major. So he probably could be back out in the field next week. For sure. I've had, by the way, 2 of them, so I already know how the recovery works. It's not really extensive. I would expect him to be back relatively soon. Maybe maybe he misses 2 games, but I can't see him missing many more than that.
Well, the good news for them is, bad news, good news. Bad news is they got the Patriots coming to town this Sunday. Good news is they have a bye week after that, so maybe he's only going to miss the 1 game.
And that's kind of dusty. Big Ben missing the Patriots.
Yeah,
game.
Right? You think?
Honestly, that's kind of dusty. I would like to see him in that particular game, seeing him perform. I'm not going to question Big Ben's physical, his heart. I'm not going to question his heart. I know he's the heart of a lion. I'm not going to say that, but I am going to say it's kind of dusty him not being here for that particular matchup. And I don't expect them to have any success without Big Ben. You can talk me to death about the backup.
Landry Jones at the helm versus the Patriots?
Don't Landry Jones me to death, please.
Did you see the Pittsburgh Steelers? I was heckling you with a video with them puking on the field.
Yes, I saw that. Matter of fact, I think Rainmaker512 also tweeted out a picture of that as well.
Exactly. So
up with the Steelers, though, man. I gotta be honest with you. That offense, one of the most prolific offense in the NFL, able to move and groove, but it's just yesterday, every time I turned around, the Dolphins had the damn ball.
Exactly.
Every time I turned around. And the inability to just, I saw Pittsburgh able to do some stuff. I saw them able to move the ball up the field. But once again, I see this lackadaisical, non-urgency type attitude out there, like, oh, we're gonna get him. Don't worry about it. You know what? Next series, whatever. Whatever. I saw that like the whole game.
Yeah, right. And you want to talk about? I mean, Big Ben missed a good portion of the second quarter and came back right into the third quarter, Dream. And they only allowed Landry Jones to throw once, and he was 0 for 1 with no yards whatsoever. So they definitely were not being aggressive with the play calling, especially when Big Ben went out. So I'm not really sure. Yeah, like you said, just a little bit of a lackadaisical effort out there.
Not going to Landry Jones me to death. I know the issue is with Landry Jones. You don't want him to throw the ball.
You don't want him to throw the ball. Well, he's going to have to versus the Patriots next week.
Now he's going to have to, but it sounds like to me that they're already maybe slightly dialing that game in. Patriots are the best team in the NFL anyway, right now.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it's not even close. By the way, it's like the Patriots, and then it's like go down like 6 levels. 6 levels. Like the Patriots are on like floor 10, and then go down to level 5, and then the rest of the NFL starts showing up.
Well, the Patriots had a pretty tough time yesterday for most of that game, and then ended up pulling away at the end. We're talking about the Patriots who were victorious over the Cincinnati Bengals yesterday, Dream. And when you look at the Cincinnati Bengals now, who usually are a regular season juggernaut, they're 2-4. So there's a lot of question marks swirling around the coaching staff.
Well, I think it's time for Marv to go there. I know not a lot of people are in line for that particular job. However, I do think it's time to go there. The only argument that he does have in his favor, the talent level wrapped around Dalton, I do think is also dusty and lacking. Yeah. But, my thing is everybody who wants to complain about, well, we don't really have any talent, then everybody just starts looking north at Belichick and saying, hey, look at what he's got.
Yeah, right.
Like he doesn't have, like the dopest guys ever out there, but his guys are able to perform. Not to mention, you watch some of the Patriots' moves in the offseason, they're moves that make sense. You watch some of the other teams' moves in the offseason, they're moves that make no sense.
Sure.
So, you look at the Patriots, they like that double tight end set. Obviously, they used to use it with Hernandez. We know about what happened with him. So what do? Go out and get Marcellus. Like, when they got Bennett,
oh, yeah,
everybody's sitting going, whoa, that's, like, huge. Like, all of us were going, oh, like, that's huge. Meanwhile, there's 32 GMs in the NFL, or 31 anyway, that, like, let it all go down without them making a move to get it from him.
Exactly. And he's been a beast for them as well.
Absolute beast. And then, you just look at some of the stuff that they've done over the years, able to acquire Amendola. I know there was some injury thoughts about Amendola as well, but still, my thing is, if I'm another owner or another team or another GM, not only do I GM for my team, I also, part of that strategy is to keep the other team from getting a lot better than my team.
Exactly. Right on. So they have one loss being the Patriots, but right behind them, Dream, in the AFC East, you got the Buffalo Bills, who have won 4 consecutive games and beat the hell out of the 49ers and your boy Kaepernick.
Are we really worried about the Buffalo Bills right behind the Patriots? I'm not, because...
Well, here's the thing, Dream. The next game they play with the Patriots, if this team continues to win, the next game they got with the Patriots is in Buffalo.
Okay.
So if they can knock them off, guess who's in first place all of a sudden?
They are. So what?
And so what?
Because do you really think the Bills are better than the Patriots?
No.
No, and I don't either. And all you got to do is, if you think the Bills are dope, okay, just go look at who they beat.
Yeah, okay.
And I know I've said it already. The NFL's not really that good, but the Bills just beat up on some really bad teams. They beat the Niners, okay, who I've been talking about how bad the Niners are. And one thing I did miss yesterday, and I didn't discuss, was Shady McCoy and Chip Kelly being reunited. And if you think that Shady was not out for blood.
Oh, big time.
Numbers yesterday. My man went ham on Chip Kelly, and I forgot all about that element of the game. But, they beat the Niners. They beat the Rams. They beat the Patriots, who, to me, had dialed it in for that game because, both those quarterbacks, the backups, were gimpy.
Yep.
And then they beat Ada Zizzer, who's turning out to be not as good as we thought they were either. So, I mean, I like the Bills. I like what they're doing. It's cute right now, but I'm still, Patriots are still leaps and bounds above everybody else in the NFL.
I hear you. And Chip Kelly has no idea who he's going to put as quarterback next week.
Well, Chip, by the way, should just go ahead and head on over to Oregon right now. Take over the helm of that and
Oregon
let the NFL get back to being the NFL. And Kaepernick should be let go. Okay, should have caught him. I don't know why they restructured his contract.
Because of the money.
Yeah, no, I know the money. I know the money, but he should have been let go back in May.
Yeah, right.
When it wouldn't have cost him anything. I mean, that's just a silly. Niners are a mess.
That is a mess. And you know what? I agree with you on that because Kaepernick clearly is not all that, Dream. And definitely not worth the money that he's getting paid.
Not at all.
Yeah, dear. And, trying to draw attention to himself. You already know that situation with the, he got the Homie the Clown haircut now at this point? Looking awful, man. So anyway.
Copying the old Randy Moss for the most part.
Yes. NFC East. The Eagles.
Back to Cap. I love he wanted to do his interview with a Muhammad Ali shirt. And if Cap is trying to parallel what he's doing with what Muhammad Ali did back in the 70s, I mean, just stop it.
Exactly.
Stop it.
Right. NFC East, Dream. The Eagles lose 2 in a row now, and fall to the Redskins, who are 4-2, Dream. Redskins are kind of emerging a little bit here.
Bad game out of the Eagles. I guess the Eagles are not who we thought they were. I guess they're not the team that I thought they were going to be. Their defense looked dreadful yesterday. I kept watching wide receivers get behind the Eagle defense. It was driving me insane. The Eagles are back to just being the Eagles again. NFL just crazy. I mean, they still were somewhat in the game, but another game, every time you turn on, the Redskins had the ball and were in the red zone.
Yeah, I know.
Redskins had the ball, and if you watch the red zone channel, which is what I watch most of the game, all you kept seeing was the Eagles and the Redskins and the Dolphins in the freaking red zone.
Well, you know what it was is that the Redskins were in the red zone quite a bit because Philadelphia, their 2 touchdowns, weren't they scored defensively?
Yep. Well, one was defensively and the other one was special teams.
Right, exactly. So they never really had an opportunity to go up and down the field offensively because they only put up 6 points after that.
Right.
Crazy. So the Redskins now, hey, they're right behind the Cowboys in that division. So moving on to a nasty game, you see the Cleveland Browns, who had some pretty interesting antics towards the end of the game. And Cody Kessler actually had a really good game on fantasy-wise, believe it or not. 336 yards with 2 touchdowns. But the Browns fall again. They are 0-6, and the Titans are 3-3, Dream.
So I have Terrell Pryor on my fantasy team, and I decide to sit him because you get into this trying to be the genius on Sunday type of situation. And I said, you know what? Terrell Pryor came back to earth last week. He had the dope week the week before, but then came back to earth last week. And you're looking at him on the road. I don't see him having a whole lot of success in Tennessee. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to sit him, and I'm going to opt for a couple of other options. Oh, my God. Terrell Pryor sitting on my bench with like 30 points.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, because of the receptions.
Yeah, two touchdowns.
Wow.
Yeah, 2
That's
touchdowns,
right, yeah.
a 2-point conversion.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. By the way, Terrell Pryor went ham on my bench, and I'm kicking myself because I'm going to lose this week. I probably would have lost with him only because the guy in my league had the other guy that went absolutely bananas. I mean, Drew Brees got me 55 all by itself, though.
Yeah, right. Breezy did have a good game.
The guy I played had a player that went bananas, which we'll get into probably in a few minutes.
All right. Sounds good. So the New York Giants and Odell Beckham Jr., they didn't kill him like Dan said they were, but they did win by 4 points, and they covered the spread. And Dream, I had the 51 under, and it landed at 50.
Wow, unbelievable. Now, so listen, the guy I played had Odell Beckham Jr., who had 8 receptions and 222 yards, which is incredible, I know. But all this does is this further fuels Odell Beckham Jr. to act like a clown. And his team cannot – if you look at this team and you look at their execution and you look at the way they play, they honestly cannot afford – Odell Beckham acting like this. And you know what bothers me about Odell Beckham the most is part of the people who like the Giants want to give him the pass. Oh, I like his energy. I like his will to want to play. This team does not need. Like the Patriots could afford an Odell Beckham Jr. Okay, some teams can handle that, but the Giants, when everybody needs to be on the same page at all times, and they need to really focus on execution and playing well, they don't need Odell Beckham Jr.'s antics. This team doesn't need that. I mean, they're in the hunt. They have a very good team. They're a well-rounded team and a well-balanced team. They don't need the circus show of Odell Beckham Jr. on a constant basis. They don't need that.
It's bringing them ratings, though, Dream. They're getting the ratings because.
Okay, so do you want ratings, or you want to win football games?
I agree with you. And you know what, too? And Baltimore, to be honest with you, Baltimore at the end had a chance to win the game.
Baltimore, by the way, had a chance. I saw 2 passes. He missed one of the passes on 3rd down, and then on 4th down, his receiver standing there all by himself. I don't know what happened to Flacco.
Oh, he missed him. Yeah, he didn't even see him.
I mean, I saw 2 wide open people that one of them, they would have been like on the 8-yard line going in because he was right with the ability to step out. And then one guy standing all by himself in the end zone and he missed. Don't ask me what happened with the Ravens at the end of that game.
I don't know, but he did not see the open receiver, which was wide open. I agree.
Wide open, dude, just standing there.
Elijah Manning, 403 yards overall, Dream. 3 touchdowns, 2
interceptions, dude, though. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, he loves that.
I threw some. Oh, he will kill you with interceptions.
Dream, I'm getting kind of sick of seeing the after-game interviews with Cam Newton.
Oh, really?
He's acting ridiculous at this
I love
point.
it because I'm the only person that seemed to remember before last year that Carolina and Cam Newton sucked. I'm the only guy that remembers that. I'm the only guy that remembers. Remember that year they went to the playoffs because everybody stunk in their division. They were it was like they had the worst record to ever be in the playoffs ever.
I think it was a losing record.
It was a losing record, and nobody remembers that. Everybody, all they remember is last year, the dab and dancing and Superman and all the antics. That's all anybody remembers out of this team. But I remember that, and they did it. They stunk with more talent than they have now, as far as I'm concerned. This team, dude, put a fork in them.
I don't know about that, Dream.
All right.
I just don't see anybody that's really incredible in that division.
There's nobody, but do you see them winning?
If there's anybody that could turn it around, it's them. You know that.
Oh, if you can't turn it around against the New Orleans Saints defense, you can't turn it around.
38-38 going in, and they end up losing the game overall at the end of regulation. But they scored 21 points in the 4th quarter. I thought they had a shot at winning the game, but they just could not hold them defensively. They just can't do it. They can't.
But the thing was, they went down. I mean, they came out the gate 21-love.
Oh yeah, brutal.
I mean, you can't. I mean, that's how you. That's Cam Newton comes back from injury. You guys are focused. You're going to go in. You're going to have a great game plan. You just played all week, studied all week, prepared to go in there and then go down 21-0 right out of the gate. Stop it. You can't win. Even in the NFL, even as dysfunctional as the NFL is right now, you cannot win doing that.
Not at all. And they end up losing now. They're 1-5, Dream. 1-5.
And I know it's Drew Brees that went ham on you. And yeah, Drew Brees can go ham on any defense. But dude, their defense is as bad as it gets right now.
It is. It's really bad.
So you're not going to win games.
I know. I hear you. But anyway, looking at Drew Brees, 465 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception.
Drew Brees had like 60 points.
60 points of fantasy. Crazy, right?
I'm still going to lose.
Wow, I can't believe that. But moving on here, the Jaguars beat the Bears. Nasty game. Don't really think we need
nasty game.
Don't need to think we really talk about that much.
Please don't start hitting me up with the Jags are dope, y'all.
Yeah, right. I am going to hit you up with the Lions, though, Dream. Because the Lions get it done in stomachache fashion. I was stomach-aching that game the entire way, and they end up winning the game over the Rams. You know, the Rams actually put up more points than I thought.
I told you that the Rams I saw them, their offense has started to have a little bit of movement. I saw that in the last week. I mentioned it yesterday. I thought this game was going to be nasty, just like it turned out, because I saw the Rams' ability to start moving the ball on offense now.
Yeah, right, exactly. So looking at the numbers here, and, you know, Case Keenum was a fantasy beast as well. He had 321 yards with 3 touchdowns. Pretty nuts how it all worked out. And Todd Gurley, they're definitely zeroing in on him. He only had 58 yards yesterday.
Only 58 yards. They use him a little bit in the passing game. I mean, he's killing you. If you got him as your first-round pick, you got no choice but to just keep him and keep starting him because that's just how it works. But he is killing you, though.
He is, definitely. So the Lions get it done, and both teams are now 3-3. We already talked about the Dolphins and Steelers. The New England Patriots dream, 5-1, 3-1 at home, 35-17 over the Bengals. That game looked like a stomachache for a minute.
It didn't to me. I mean,
No.
I just saw the Patriots executing. I saw them, a couple of small mistakes here and there, but it didn't look like a problem to me. I thought that they would eventually just pull ahead, which they did. I didn't think they would go ahead that high, but there did start to be a little bit of chippiness and antics as far as Cincinnati's defense wanted to start doing some trash talking and messing with them. Now, the one thing I will give you, Gronkowski wanted no parts of perfect.
None at all.
By the way, perfect the big Gronk out. I don't care what nobody says. Gronk said, all right, Pac-Man Jones, I'll get in your face and I'll talk trash to you. But when perfect came over, the big Gronk headed to the sidelines.
You know what? He doesn't need to get involved in that, though.
No, he doesn't, but I'm just saying, though.
Yeah, right. Right, exactly. So the Patriots emerge and are looking pretty good and got to go into Pittsburgh this week without Big Ben at the helm. Dream, the Kansas City Chiefs go into Oakland and beat the hell out of the Raiders.
We done with the Raiders? The love affair with the
Well, they're
Raiders.
still 4-2.
No, I know they are. Listen, I don't know what you guys love about this team. I think they're pretty good, but I still know that they're the Raiders right now as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
Kansas City, Kansas City's a decent team, a good playoff team last year. Had some woes this year, was trying to get it together. But last year they were defensively sound. And I know at the beginning of the season their defense was a little bit of a mess, but looks like they putting it back together, putting the pieces back together, and are going to move forward.
I got them winning that division. I already called it.
I know you do.
And that was before the beginning of the year. So we'll see how that ends up going. Seattle Seahawks, Dream. We got to talk about this game.
Okay.
They win the game 26-24.
Yes.
One of the worst missed calls with pass interference I've ever seen in football.
Yep.
Did you see that?
I did.
They had Julio Jones's right arm pinned back, like completely holding onto it. Almost looked like like an MMA move or a wrestling move. And he had to reach up with his left hand and try to catch it one-handed. That right there.
But does that play put them in field goal range?
I don't even remember where he was. Was he at the 40?
I don't know, and I can't remember it. And I'm just thinking of it as you're mentioning it, because first I was going to say to you, well, I don't mind the play call or the missed call. I mean, I mind the missed call because it's bad, but I don't mind it because they still needed to win the game, which they still needed.
But there was a lot of time left, though.
Still a lot of time. Okay, so I just can't remember if that play put them in field goal range or not. And if it did, then that's a really awful.
I want to say it was like the 35 or the 40-yard line.
I think you're right.
And they had plenty of time. There was, I want to say, a minute left. So, and Matty Ice, especially with Julio Jones, can move the ball another 10 yards to put him in field goal range. So, and the coach was going ballistic, rightfully so, for Atlanta.
Sure.
What just an awful missed call. I mean, you see some patty cake going on and they call it, and then you see something like that and they did not call it. I don't know how they don't call that. You have to call that pass interference, especially when the game is on the line. I could see if it's a blowout or something, but not when the game's on the line. Atlanta should have won that game. Or at least had a shot to win the game, because they could have kicked the field goal and made it work. So
not only that, there should have been extra attention on Richard Sherman just based on the antics that had went on the sideline anyway.
Right.
Okay. Because the refs are aware of what's going on. I mean, you couldn't help but see what was going on with him yesterday as well on the sideline. So there should have been an extra eye making sure that everything was on the up and up with him, because there was something mentally going on with him as far as that was concerned. So yeah, that's a bad missed call right there.
Exactly. So I had a blemish yesterday, and my blemish was the Green Bay Packers, who it was Brett Favre night, Dream.
Yes.
honoring Brett Favre, Hall of Famer, doing this whole halftime thing. You would think they had some extra motivation to get it done. They played so poorly. They're a very inconsistent team. They'll come out like gangbusters, and then they'll have these performances where Aaron Rodgers was dancing around the pocket, had some pretty good throws, but they were missed balls. They were fumbling. They were turning it over. I mean, what's your thoughts on Green Bay, Dream?
Well, first of all, I don't know what is the relationship with Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre, because for some reason I feel like they don't feel each other.
I don't know if I see that.
Say that again?
I don't know if I see that.
Okay, I don't know if I see it either, but I've always felt like Aaron Rodgers really didn't care for Brett Favre that much, and obviously Brett, like, whatever, because he was the starter at the time. I don't know if there's any. I don't know what that relationship is. I'm also pretty sure that Brett Favre and Mike McCarthy did not get along that well either. Now, when I look at the Packers, my first problem with the Packers, and I talked about this in the past, Mike McCarthy calling the plays himself, I hate that.
Yeah.
I don't like him calling the plays. I think when an offense like Green Bay, they need a guy up in the booth that can absolutely hone in, see from a high level what's going on the field, and be able to make play calls based on that, because this is a fine-tuned rhythm type of offense that can dissect at certain points. Aaron Rodgers had all day in the pocket. I saw him in the pocket at times.
All day
in the pocket. All right? All day in that pocket. And yet, they kept pushing that running game for some reason. And I know that they had some success in some situations, but once I saw that he's having this kind of all-day time in the pocket, I mean, I'm going to let him flourish in that pocket. Now, of course, he seemed to be, I don't know, man. I'm watching him. He just seemed off.
Pensive,
off. Jordy Nelson has not been the receiver that he was before his injury, before leaving last season. He just has not come back and reemerged. And this is a problem. I think this is another problem. Trying to get him involved too much is hampering the team.
I agree with you on that. And a couple of things I noticed, and we're going to talk about the Cowboys, Marlon, in a minute. We're trying to figure out what's wrong with Green Bay first before we do that, because Green Bay did not have their A game going on yesterday. And I was troubled by I believe they were on the 3-yard line. They had a 1st and goal. And they had Aaron Rodgers do a quarterback draw. And I just could not figure that out. I saw it before they even snapped the ball that they were going to do that.
I don't think that they called that quarterback draw. I think Aaron Rodgers.
That was a called play, Dream.
I'm sorry?
That was a design play.
I disagree with you. I think Aaron Rodgers took it and thought he could get in the end zone. That was my feel when I watched the play. Maybe it was designed.
It was definitely designed. But see, I like those where you're doing like
it was definitely designed. You're in a shotgun, which they're always in.
Yeah.
They're on the 1-yard line, which that's what they do. They had the running back standing right next to him. So how do you?
No, there was no back. It was an empty backfield.
Empty backfield?
Yeah. Yeah, he had 5
How
wide.
do you say that that's designed and he wasn't supposed to throw it?
It was a quarterback draw. So they were just trying to basically spread the defense out and have him run right in.
But line up like that and he throws.
I like where a quarterback rolls out and does like a naked bootleg or something like that and then rolls into the end of the end zone. That's what I like, the corner of the end zone. But anyway, hey, he fumbles the ball in that situation, and I believe that's what turned the tide for this whole game. The Cowboys had to lead the whole game. Green Bay never even tied it or had a lead whatsoever.
No, but Green Bay did that just like the Pittsburgh Steelers did. Oh, we're gonna, we'll get them. We'll relax.
Yeah, right.
We're gonna get them.
Right. I hate that
me too.
of play. I hate that. Where you just kind of come out flat and you just think that you're just going to come back miraculously and get it done. Well, you know what? There are such thing as turnovers. There are such thing as broken plays. There are anything that can happen, penalties, injuries, anything that could happen. So you always got to start pedal to the metal from the opening kickoff till the clock hits the 3 zeros. And Dream, you know what? The Dallas Cowboys, give them credit where credit is due. They are 5-1. They're 3-0 at home, on the road. And they're only they lost to the Giants by 1 point. This team, This team is making it happen. And now, I looked at ESPN this morning. The first thing on the front page is saying, do the right thing and keep Dak Prescott in as quarterback when Tony Romo comes back.
And the media is making it such a circus, though.
Oh, yeah, they are.
The media is making it such a circus because it's that. And I'm already sick of it. You know what? Listen. I don't want to talk about it no more. I mean, it's not that I don't want to talk about it no more. I don't want to hear about it no more. Let Dallas do what they're going to do. I mean, they're in a great situation.
Yeah.
They can start Tony Romo or they can keep Dak Prescott in. You can do either or because here's how it works. Tony Romo goes in and you lose. You bring Dak back in. Dak stays in and he loses. You bring Romo in. They're in a great situation. Stop worrying about it.
My feeling is that you keep him in.
I know that's what your feeling is, but you don't like Tony Romo, so you're biased.
It doesn't matter at this point whether I like him or not. They're 5-1. They have a winning pedigree.
And you have a winning pedigree, and so you have the luxury to put him in because you're 5-1.
Yeah, I got it.
That's all I'm saying. That if you were losing, then yeah, I might be okay. Well, I don't know if I want to put him in right now because this guy seems like he's working. We can't afford to lose games, whatever. But you're winning right now, so it's not going to hurt you to lose a game because nobody in the NFL is going undefeated, as the Patriots have already lost. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's not going to hurt you to lose a game. Everybody's going to lose a few games, obviously, this season. So you can put him back in, and if he loses, you can take him out. And if he doesn't lose, then you can leave him in. I think they got the greatest scenario. The media wants to play the Jerry Jones card. They want to play. Look at this guy. You know, he's making a mess of the team. You know, they should leave Dak in. This, that, and the other. I mean, the Cowboys, as well as I guess everybody thinks they played yesterday, the Green Bay Packers still were right there up into, the third quarter, deep into the third quarter. We're right there. A couple of plays. Rodgers doesn't fumble that ball, scores a touchdown. Yeah. Maybe a whole different game. They were able to run the ball effectively. We talked about how great the Dallas Cowboy offensive line is all season.
Oh, yeah.
That's shown, that's come to fruition. Talked about Ezekiel Elliott running the ball. That's been pretty successful.
Big time.
But
Big time.
Dak's still not killing me with his – and if I'm the defensive coordinator for Green Bay, hey, guess what, guys? Do me a favor. Somebody cover Beasley because that's the only person he's throwing the ball to.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know what? I mean, it was very impressive watching Zeke tear up the Green Bay defensive line. I mean, he had holes. He was busted. He was slicing through little gaps and everything. I mean, this was the number one rush defense in the NFL, giving up 42 yards per game. It was almost the same situation as what Navy did to Houston, Dream.
Sure.
And Green Bay just had no answer for him. And Zeke is good. He's good. You got to give him credit. Guy's good. So they have a good young team. They have the offensive line now. They have the bright future quarterback being Dak Prescott. They got Ezekiel Elliott. Now, for the next couple of years, I think that this Dallas Cowboys team really needs to build their defense, especially with the draft and money and stuff like that, because you don't have to pay Ezekiel Elliott for a little while. They could really be a force to be reckoned with in the next few years if they build that defense.
The NFL catches up to you very fast.
All right.
You catch up to what you do very fast. And you catch some people by surprise, maybe for a season. I mean, we see it all the time. We see one team look absolutely incredible one season, the following year look absolutely terrible, a la the Carolina Panthers. And, I'm not just talking about them, but I remember Seattle in their original year with Russell Wilson. Absolutely incredible looking. Mm-hmm. And then right after that, they're where they are now, which is, kind of rough looking. So, this Dallas Cowboy team, who I've liked in the past, there's something about them now, maybe because they're winning and the Cowboy fans are running their mouth again, but it's another situation that, I just don't trust them, no. I don't think that they're as good as their record is. Mm. I think they're a pretty good team, don't get me wrong, but I just don't, I don't know, because then I look around the NFC and I don't see a lot of teams that much better, but I don't know. I just don't. I don't think they're winning. You think they're winning a Super Bowl?
No.
Okay, that's an emphatic no. Who's better than them in the NFC? Don't you think that if they play Green Bay in the playoff game?
I think Green Bay would beat them. Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. I'm still right there. I think Seattle would beat them in the playoff game still. I think Green Bay would beat them in the playoff game still. So, but we just seen them beat Green Bay yesterday.
Yeah, right.
That's my thing. Don't trust them.
Don't trust them at all. Exactly. So, and one more game, Dream. The Colts fall to the Texans. God. There was 5.5 minutes left, and the Colts were up 14 points, 20-6. And the Houston Texans come back, score 14 unanswered points, and then score a field goal at the end of in overtime, and beat the Indianapolis Colts, 26-23. What a shame.
I went to bed. I thought the game was over. I went to bed. I thought this game was over. So I'm on the phone this morning, and we're doing our, the lineup and, putting all the stuff in our information that we want to discuss today on the show. And he's like, I remember how you did it, but all of a sudden we're like, and you go like in the Colts. I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm like, that was easy for them. And you're like, they lost. I'm like, they lost. I'm like, what? So then I go over and I look at the ticker. I'm like, dude, no way. I went to bed. They were up 14 points. How'd they lose?
Yeah, it's crazy. So I do have a fantasy lineup where my first three players were Lamar Miller, Andrew Luck, and DeAndre Hopkins. Okay. I have about 80 points going into tonight. So I'm looking pretty good with only three players that went, because Lamar Miller went bananas. He had 149 yards, 1 touchdown, but a bunch of receptions as well, Dream. So he did very, very good. I think he had like 30-something points. I got to look at it. But very good outing for Lamar Miller and very good for the Texans. And at halftime, I don't know who the commentator was at halftime, but he said that he could not figure out how to not make Brock Osweiler just a bad football player. He torched him. And all of a sudden, Brock came out in the fourth quarter and made it work.
Yeah, overall. But my thing is though, I'm still right there with him, because just because you came out in the fourth quarter and made it work against
I'm with you.
No, Brock is did you see him? Oh. That's why I went to bed, by the way.
He was trending on Twitter how bad he was.
That's why he was?
Yeah. People were all over Twitter just killing him in the first half. Brutal the way he made it work. But hey, you know what? He got the job done, and they're in cruise control in that division. They're 4-2 now. So, they got the Tennessee Titans that are 3-3, but the Colts are 2-4, and when you win that head-to-head, that really helps you out as far as the division is concerned. So, you got the same thing. You probably get Texans to win that division and then get knocked out in week 1 of the playoffs. You already know how that works, Dream.
Yes, I do.
So, it's just something that we're used to seeing. But anyway, let's move on here, and let's have a conversation real quick, unless you got any other NFL.
I don't have any other NFL. We covered everything.
We covered everything. Exactly. We got to talk real quick about Clayton Kershaw. I believe that the playoff demons have been exorcised. I believe that he has turned a page similar to what Peyton Manning did, even though he hasn't won a World Series yet. 7 scoreless innings for Clayton Kershaw yesterday, Dream. They win 1-0 the Dodgers.
Absolutely outrageous performance yesterday by Clayton Kershaw. And, I was me. I was all for him starting game 2. I said, I don't know how you don't start him game 2 against the Cubs, because now you get 2 opportunities for him to pitch. And, he came out, he did his thing. That was a stellar performance to hold the Cubs down like that. Hats off to him. And, it's time to stop talking about him not showing up in the playoffs.
Definitely. So now they're 1-1, and they got to pitch Rich Hill, and we'll look at the breakdown of the MLB moving forward when that becomes that time. So let's talk real quick, Dream. The new AP college football rankings are out, and are you ready for this? Alabama stays at number 1, rightfully so. You have to give them that. They're calling them the best team in the country. I think the offense is starting to click. And I think Jalen Hurts, I know you say it's the old, boring Alabama. I don't think so. Jalen Hurts is definitely, I've never really seen an athletic quarterback in Alabama. It's usually a pocket passer. Run first, throw your dink and dunks. Almost like a game management situation, because your defense was so good and your special teams are so good. So, I don't know. I think they got a little bit of a different dynamic this year, Dream.
Okay.
All right. Number 2, The Ohio State University. After their win at Wisconsin, very tough, hard-fought win. But this is another team, guys. I got to be honest with you. We talked about it yesterday. Big difference in offense. The tempo has increased substantially. I mean, when you think about Cordell Jones, when they won the championship that year, Dream, how he used to do the big clap with his hands? It was so much slower. This year, it's like bang, 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 bang. And the offensive line has that push, even versus a team like Wisconsin. Right. They're good. They're good, and they have the defense to back it up as well. So they're going to be a force to be reckoned with moving forward. And the last game of the year, they get to play Michigan in Columbus. Speaking of Michigan, they're number 3. Sat home, didn't play, and watched themselves leapfrog over Clemson. Because Clemson is now number 4.
I don't like that.
You don't like it?
Nope.
Why?
Because Michigan's offense is dusty.
Okay.
And I don't think they're better than Clemson.
You really don't think so?
But I don't really mind it because I would have only had them at the 4 spot and left Clemson at the 3, so it's no big deal. And Michigan's going to lose anyway to Ohio State.
They're going to lose to Ohio State. All right. What do you think that line will be?
That's interesting. I mean, we got a lot. We got a long way to go. Well, kind of a long way to go till we get there.
Yeah,
so
if they went out, yeah.
But right now, I'd say if they were to play right now, don't you think Ohio State would be given that nasty 4?
6. I think they'll be given 6 points.
Okay.
I really do. I mean, it's kind of crazy to say being Michigan and Michigan being that good, but I think they'll be given 6 points, to be honest with you. So moving on here to the rest of it, you've got number 5, Washington. I believe that this is one of your playoff teams. I really do. They have a real tough task at Washington State, but I don't see anybody in the pack knocking them off. They've already beaten the best of the best in the pack. So this team, I think, is going to emerge and be in that playoff and win the pack, be your pack champion, and move forward. Number 6, Texas A&M, 6-0, Dream.
No doubt.
Number 7, Louisville. That's your team.
It is.
Number 8, the Nebraska Cornhuskers in the Big Ten are 6-0. Any thoughts on the Nebraska Cornhuskers making some noise?
No, not at all. Not right now.
Okay, because the way it's all shaping up here is that Michigan and Ohio State are going to play each other, and that should give you the leader of the Big Ten East. If Nebraska wins out, they would be the winner of the Big Ten West. So they would have to play the winner of Michigan and the Ohio State University. Any shot whatsoever at this team knocking them off?
Oh.
Not at all, right?
Nope.
Anything can happen, Dream.
Anything can happen. I don't think that is going to happen, though.
Right on. Number 9, Baylor is quietly 6-0.
Yes, they are. Not quiet. I don't think this quiet. I mean,
you know what? But they're number 9, so they're not getting a lot of respect. Number 10, Wisconsin. They really didn't move that much, and I believe that is a really good situation for them because their 2 losses were versus Michigan and versus the Ohio State University, and they were in both of those games. They lost both of those games by 1 touchdown only.
And I don't care, though, but they don't stay at 10.
They don't stay at 10.
No,
they were at 8. They dropped to 10.
And I don't like them at 10 with 2 losses. No way. I don't like them over Houston with 1 loss. And I don't like them over West Virginia with no losses. And I don't like them over Boise State, to be honest with you. Wow. I don't like them with 2 losses at that spot. I
think they could beat either one of them teams, to be honest with you. Houston is number 11 with a 6-1 record, but Houston had a real tough time with Tulsa this weekend.
Tulsa's pretty good, though.
Okay. West Virginia, number 12, 5-0, undefeated in the Big 12. Florida State, number 13. Boise, number 14, as undefeated. 15, the Florida Gators, who are 5-1, and they are making up that game with LSU.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Do you think Wisconsin can beat Florida?
Yeah.
You do?
I do.
Okay.
I do. Just because they have a better offense.
But I don't. I think it would be like a 10-3 game. And
it would be ugly. Yeah, of course.
I think Florida could beat them. I don't listen. Wisconsin. I know they were in these games, but the Ohio State game they were home, so they had the luxury of being home as for that particular matchup. I know that they were in the Michigan game on the road, but I don't like Michigan's offense. I told you that before. I just think Wisconsin still, offensively is as inept as Florida is, unfortunately.
They can run the ball a little bit better. Number 16, Oklahoma. Number 17, Arkansas. Number 18, Tennessee falls all the way from 9 to 18, Dream.
Good. And they should fall right out of there, by the way.
Right on. Number 19, Utah. Number 20, Western Michigan, 7-0. That's the MAC champ right there, Dream. The MAC champ. Number 21, Auburn. 22, North Carolina. 23, Ole Miss. 3-3 record, still in the top 25. Number 24, Navy, and number 25, LSU. That wraps up the top 25 college AP poll, my man.
It's kind of a mess. I don't necessarily agree with it. It's all working its way out.
It'll work its way out. And all the conference champions will be the ones in the playoffs. Watch. That's just the way it's going to work.
I want to look at Michigan. I want to look at Wisconsin for a minute because Wisconsin, you know what is interesting about Wisconsin? Wisconsin does have Nebraska in 2 weeks. They gotta go to Iowa, which is not going to be any cakewalk. I do don't like Iowa, but I'm just saying it's not going to be a cakewalk. Then they play Nebraska. So these next 2 weeks are going to be important. We'll find out really who Wisconsin is over the next 2 weeks.
Right on. Exactly. So anyway, my man, we got to get into – we have a game tonight, and we need to talk about it.
Yes,
and we need to discuss the Monday Night Football game. Monday Night Football game between the Jets and the Arizona Cardinals in the desert tonight. Looking at the matchup, looking at the line, you have – let's see, pulling it up right now. You got the Arizona Cardinals, who are a 7.5-point favorite with an under-over of – 46.5 points. Dream, I know you're a favorites guy.
I am.
And I'm sure that you're probably feeling the Arizona Cardinals in this game. But I'd like to get your thoughts on how you think this game is going to go tonight.
I'm not feeling the Arizona Cardinals in this game because I don't necessarily know. Right now, I don't know who the favorite, unless it's the Patriots, I don't know who the favorite is in the NFL. You know,
right.
There used to be some distinct differences in teams in the NFL. That's out the window now. This season, there's not. You know, I mean, it's just that's how it is. This Jet team and this Arizona team, I don't know who either one of these teams are right now. And I don't think they do either. You know, I talked about Fitzpatrick. I talked about his success at times, but his non-success. Look at Carson Palmer. I think that Carson Palmer is in the twilight of his career and kind of hanging on personally. I think last year was his window. Unfortunately, Killer Cam and them destroyed it for him last year. I honestly think Carson Palmer is done, to be honest with you. I mean, he can get some things done, but this style of offense and him, I don't know if that's a good marriage right now.
You don't think they'll come to play under the big lights tonight?
I think they're going to come to play, but I can't, you know, this game, dude, I can't, you know, I can't. I have no idea. I don't really, for once, I'm like, especially after this weekend and just watching both of these teams dysfunctionally play. I don't know what to tell you with this game. I really don't.
Yeah, looking at it here, I mean, the under-over is 46.5. And you know that Arizona prides themselves in scoring defensively. And, you know, and their secondary is pretty damn good at picking off the ball. And you know that Ryan Fitzpatrick's probably seeing interceptions in his sleep and his nightmares at this point. So I wonder if he's going to be a little pensive as far as throwing the ball is concerned. You know?
I don't know, but he can't afford to be pensive because they're going to have to throw the ball. I believe that, you know, the Arizona Cardinals are going to be able to probably stifle a little bit of the run. But here's my thing. Screen passes to Forte, short passes, safe passes. I'd like to see the Jets establish some of that. Now, on the flip side of that, Arizona, you know, they like to throw the ball deep. If they're going to have any success against any team, this Jet team is just that as far as throwing the ball deep. They should be able to get deep passes away on this Jet team.
Yeah.
Because the Jet secondary is bad.
Right on. And that is why it brings me to where I'm going with this game. You know, when I look at what these two teams do defensively and what they're giving up, the Jets are giving up 27 points a game, Dream.
No doubt.
Which is a lot.
Yep.
And you know what? Revis is questionable for tonight. Your boy. The A-Rod of football, exactly. Jets are 1-5 in the last 6 games. They're 1-4 on the year. Looking at it here, I know a lot of trends point towards the under. I get it. But I'm thinking about opening up a teaser, bringing that down to 39.5 and betting the over tonight. Just because I think Arizona's going to move the ball a little bit on this Jets defense, and I think Fitzpatrick will have somewhat decent game. Maybe a 250 to 275 yards, something like that. So I like them. I like this. I like there to be a lot of scoring here. So I'm seeing maybe something along the lines of being in the 40s. So I'm going to go over 39.5. I'm going to get it down 7 points.
I happen to like the over too. I don't know why though, because when you look at the Jets, 13 points scored against Pittsburgh, 17 points scored against Seattle, 3 points scored against KC. But I like the over as well.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what it is. I like the over as well. I think that I like the over, and I'm leaning Arizona, but I don't listen. I don't love it. I'm not playing this game, guys, because right now I got to fall back, and I honestly need to try to look at this NFL again and figure it out from a different aspect. Because when you look at the NFL right now, that parity thing that they're talking about, where we've talked about that in the past, but it was any given Sunday, but in some situations it had to be a real good given Sunday. Like sure. Cleveland wasn't beating the Patriots. You know what I'm saying? So it was any given Sunday, but only if like the Sunday was really crazy for Cleveland. But when you look at it now, I mean, really, you know, outside of the Patriots, which I said yesterday, I don't see a distinct juggernaut in a blue chip stock, so to say, in any team. Arizona, 2-3. Watched him play, watched him look somewhat decent in some spots and then horrible in other spots.
Sure.
Losing to the Rams, very bad. That embarrassing loss to Buffalo still sticks in my mind with them. On the flip side, the Jets haven't shown me anything. But you know what, the Jets, I thought Bowles was going to be a really good coach for them.
Yeah.
What the hell happened?
Their secondary is horrible. That's the problem. 302 yards they're allowing on defense through the air. That's their Achilles heel.
I've watched him stand on that sideline with that dumb, smug grin on his face while the Jets did some really stupid stuff, from play calling to not being able to execute, not getting the ball out of bounds at the right time, bad clock, man, stuff that I could point directly at the head coach and say, hey, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know, dude. This Jet team, when you talk about that over, you're going to need the Jets to contribute.
Of course. And they're going to.
I hope you're right, because
I'm going to get it over 39.5.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to pair it with the baseball game.
I think you might be safe there with the 39.5, because you could get it all out of Arizona. Maybe if they get in one of their grooves, they may give it to you all. It's just an ugly game. It's really ugly.
Yeah. Well, don't be worried if it starts off sluggish, because I could see it happening. Maybe like 6-3 at the end of the first quarter or something like that. And then all of a sudden, come third, fourth quarter is where all the fireworks begin. So that's what I'm looking at, Dream, and that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to involve it with the baseball game today.
All right. And where are you going with the baseball game?
All right. So let's move right over to that and have a conversation about the MLBs, as we have the American League Championship Series going on at 8:08 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You got the Cleveland Indians going into the Rogers Center, going into the Dome, on the turf, playing the Toronto Blue Jays. Trevor Bauer versus Marcus Stroman. Toronto minus 175 with an under-over of 8.5. Dream, I'm taking the Jays. They're not losing this game.
You are aware of Batista's comments as far as the tweet and all that stuff's going on?
Enlighten me.
Okay, I guess he's had an issue with the pitching the last two games, and kind of is alluding to that the Cleveland Indians were allowed to pitch and not put the ball over the plate, and they got away with a lot of bad pitching that were called strikes, and it was not the ball. They weren't putting the ball over the plate. So he tweeted a whole bunch of stuff out. Apparently, when they asked him about it, he still remained kind of out there because he didn't want to get fined for the most reason. But he tweeted all out, and he got circumstances written on it, and he's got pictures of the Cleveland Indians pitchers.
Wow.
And there's all. I'm surprised you haven't seen that. There's all kinds of stuff over Twitter that he's pointing out. So now it brings that circus atmosphere to this game tonight, because now you wonder, are the umps going to be really fair, or are they going to be, I just don't know how that affects this game tonight.
Well, I can tell you this much, that Cleveland, when playing in the Rogers Center in the last 6 games, they're 2-4. I've liked this kid Stroman all year long. He has not been that dominant, but I remember him being pretty dominant in the playoffs. He does pretty well in the playoffs. He's 9-10 overall this year with a 4.33 ERA, and I'm not a big Trevor Bauer fan. Cleveland's strengths are at home. Cleveland hasn't lost a game yet in the playoffs. I believe that this is their first game to lose. I'm taking the Toronto Blue Jays to get it done and win this game, and I'm gonna pair it with buying those points down in the football game to getting it over 39.5 and taking the Toronto Blue Jays with it. That's what I'm gonna do, Dre. That should pay even money.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't know if this gets Cleveland going even more. I don't know what the comments have just done. Tonight I'm gonna defer, but guys, if I was gonna get involved, if you like the baseball game, I'd find a way to get Arizona money lined.
Okay.
I don't think I would buy. I don't know that I would mess with that total, even though I happen to, for some reason, agree with you that the game's going to go over. But when I look at the stats and I look at the Jets and I think about the Jets' execution on offense, I don't know how they're going to put up points. So that's why I would be afraid of the total personally. But I agree with you. I for some reason in my gut, I feel like the game's going to go over. But I do think that Arizona's going to find a way to win this game.
All right. Sounds good, guys. So that's going to do it for us. We got 2 big games tonight to get involved with, and I wish everybody the best of luck. As far as hockey's concerned, guys, I haven't really been looking at it much. Just waiting to get this football thing dead right. Just kind of picking my spots and putting my teams together and going from there. But we'll get into the hockey.
Can't start losing it, ready to move to another.
Yeah, right. Not me.
Like being
Not
in
me.
the casino, the blackjack table game. Let's go to the crap table.
Yeah.
Right. Let's go to the roulette.
Right on. So that's going to do it for us, Stream. We got to get out of here. We'll be back here on Thursday.
Anybody that's been gambling for some time should know these are the roller coaster rides of gambling. That's how this thing works. And I know I complain. I've been on Twitter being kind of vocal about it being booty and dusty. That's just me with my frustration. I've been here before. There's been a couple of bad weeks where your boy just ain't been on point. And I've been there and definitely still held down and emerged. Sometimes it's a little bit more about being stubborn than not.
Yes.
Sometimes you might have to pull back lower the increments as far as the money's concerned and put it out until you get a better feel and you know exactly what's going on, or you get that perfect matchup that you've been looking for and for that. So, hey, we're going to keep it. We're going to hold the line here. Want to thank everybody who's retweeting the show. Got my boy Terrence Mack in the house. My girl Jackie, what's up? Good to see you out there. Rick Lopez is out there. My man Marlon is in the house as well. JC's in the house. KMBU Crux out there. C. Rodriguez Jr. Vegas Girl 92661. Derek Richard, Sin City Maverick, good to see you out there. Rich Raven, Wooch GG giving us some love. Blake Moore, Cash Action Bets. We got my boy Rick Lopez out in the West Coast. OJFB, Wayne Yarborough, JDH24, Jeff Ryan, Nicholas J, BT, Almighty Kev, Jonesy, Jay Snyder, Average Joe Punter, Deeks Picks, and Killer Cam 505, just to name a few. Hey, don't be discouraged. Don't be mad. Just relax, regroup. Gotta get this thing together. Trust me, we always end up on top at the end of the season. I don't care. Listen, I'm gonna end up on top no matter what at the end of the season, and so are you. We're gonna make a comeback of epic proportions. We're figuring this whole thing out. I'm the dream. Always remember who you're with. Make the most of each and every day, as you cannot get this time back.
And you know what, too? You've been putting out stuff that's plus money anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, good. So no
Stop
worries
the
there.
winning. I got to get back to my minus. Get back to my minus money.
Yeah, your minus 300 money lines. Exactly.
300 money lines.
Guys, we love you to death. It's Monday. Brand new week to go out there and conquer the world. And whatever it is you do whatever it is you got to do whatever it is you want to do in life and get that money. Let's go.